I have questions about you studying in Italy. How did it differ from, like, studying music in the States?
Oh my gosh, so many ways. Okay, so the first big difference was that everything was in Italian. I was the only American student in the conservatory there. And when I went over, I had basic Italian. I had been going to Italy in the summers because it's a really good place for chamber music festivals. And so I had learned kind of the basics. And anyway, I got into this conservatory, and the first day of class, I realized I was kind of in over my head as far as the language was concerned. So the first 4 months I spent like just totally silent, listening really, really, really hard and trying to learn this language. And another big difference was that they don't use letter names for the notes, they use solfege. So I had a little bit of solfege before, but that was an adjustment because they were talking in do, re, mi, and I was like, oh my God. And sometimes they would say, like play do, which is C. But I hear the duh sound and think D. So then I played D, and I just looked like an idiot. But eventually I caught on. And the conservatory system there is really different. When you go to school for music, you go for 10 years. Recently they switched to a system that's similar to our bachelor's and then a master's. I think you do now 3 years there for a bachelor's degree and 2 years for a master's. But so I was able to do a 2-year master's because they just changed the system. But a lot of other kids in the school are still in this 10-year track. They're younger than me. They start before they're even in high school. They have to memorize all the Piatti caprices and then be able to play them at the drop of a hat at their final exam. So it's really, really rigorous. And it was really different from here because at colleges like UNC, there's a really broad academic base to what you study. You do have a major, you specialize in something, but then you also have to fulfill other requirements, like sciences and language. Whereas there it was all music, just music, orchestra, lessons, chamber music, music history, music theory. And that's partially why I went, because that's what I wanted. I'd had a foundation of being able to study other things here, but I wanted to focus. And the other draw to it was the affordability of it.
How much did it cost in terms of American money?
Okay, well, the American dollar and the euro are almost equal right now. When I first went over there, they weren't. The euro was a little more, but I paid per year in tuition 1,500 euros.
Wow.
So for my entire master's degree tuition, I paid less than a year of dorms at UNC. What dorms here? It's $5,000 a year to live in the dorms.
Yeah.
So yeah, and before I went over to Italy, I had been accepted and was all set to go to the Boston Conservatory. I had put down my tuition deposit. I was enrolled. It was 2 weeks before the start of school, and all of a sudden I made this last minute decision to just try to study in Europe instead, because Boston was going to cost me $35,000 a year.
Wow.
So I think on the topic of sustainability, I was asked before this interview, I was asking myself, how can you define sustainable self-expression, or what makes something sustainable, but what makes it unsustainable? I don't think that if I had gone to a school here that cost that much, I would have been able to sustain my career. I mean, part of what has made this all possible for me is that it didn't cost me so much to study there. Mm-hmm. So I think the affordability of education in the arts is really important. And I'm sure there's 100 other things I could say about how it differed over there. They're extremely unorganized, but Italians have that reputation.
But the immersion must have been you had to have picked it up quick though for you to have stayed.
Yeah, and the first month's really difficult. I spent the first several months crying on Skype to my mother, saying, "Please let me come home. I don't want to do this." And she was like, "No, you started and you have to finish." So yeah, at first it was really difficult, but then it became really fascinating to be able to speak the language and to hear myself speak the language. And people that enroll and go to study in conservatory there, I mean, they're really, really passionate about music. They are committed. They want to be in rehearsal and to rehearse 3 times a week outside of rehearsal on their own with your quartet because they're just like, that's what they love. Here, I mean, maybe it's different in music conservatories here in the States, but at a college like UNC, the beauty of UNC and my music major here, I think, was that I had the flexibility to commit to it as much as I wanted to or not. You can be a music major and throw your life into music, or you can balance music major with biochemistry and maybe not put as much of your focus into practicing and still like succeed in both. But